Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks. And today, oops, you heard that, guys? And today we are diving into a truly transformative conversation. This episode is about elevating your life series, and I couldn't be more excited to welcome a very special guest who embodies the essence of self-improvement and personal growth, and that's Alan Lazarus. Alan is not only an entrepreneur and a coach, but he is also someone who has overcome immense challenges and turned it into opportunities for growth. But before we bring Alan to the stage, you know how we do it. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back. We're going to get deep into this conversation, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks, here on Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back. Hey, it's your girl, the Goddess Nyomi Banks, and make sure you tune in every Thursday night to Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap podcast, where we talk about everything from love, sex, relationship, cultural differences, and so much more. We're bridging the gap between them all, and we even talk about spiritual uplifting. You need to stop by. Me and Dr. Mike, as well as the BTG crew. We have some amazing guests that come through. You never know. Just make sure you tune in Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Go to axnyomi.com and tell them Nyomi sent you.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, well, welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am here with Mr. Alan Lazarus. How are you, Alan?
I see you. I see the work you're putting in. I appreciate it very much. That was very cool, and I appreciate the intro as well.
Thank you. Thank you. We having some time over here. Yeah, we having some time. But I'm glad that you here with this series right here. The Elevate Your Life series journey. Last year, I actually wrote an ebook about elevating your life. Matter of fact, getting the key to unlock the door. So, a lot of times when we have all of the keys and we just don't know what key to use to unlock that door to walk into the success. So when I read about your story and I met your partner a few months ago, I thought it was so amazing. So when, our people, your people came in contact, I said, yes, I have to have him on, to truly share like when I say your story is amazing, I don't want to keep talking because I can say the car accident, I can start talking, but I don't want to. What I want to do right now is before we really get to talking, I want to, kind of bring myself down a little bit, do a nice little guided meditation from there. And then we're going to get in and find out all about who Mr. Alan is and what he does. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So my beautiful listeners out there, you know how we do it. I want you to find a nice, comfortable position. All right. And close your eyes. I want you to close your eyes and soften your gaze. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out of your mouth. I want you to focus on the present moment right now, letting go of any distractions. Now as you breathe, I want you to visualize your goals. Whether they're personal or professional. Breathe in. Exhale out. I want you to see yourself growing, evolving, and elevating. Now I want you to imagine that each breath that it represents self-love and expansion. And with each breath out, I want you to release the doubt and the fears. Now breathe in growth and breathe out limitation. Now give one more deep breath in through the nose and release through the mouth. And when you are ready, gently open your eyes and bring your attention back to the space around you. Thank you for sharing this moment. All right, my beautiful people. Thank you, Alan. All right, my beautiful people, you know how it is. If you're new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something that we do every day just to help us get centered before we get into the topic at hand. You ready, Alan?
I'm ready. I am I am very centered after that.
That's good.
Most centered I've been all day, I'll tell you what.
That's good. That is good. So your story is one, as I was speaking before, resilience and transformation. And you've gone through so many incredible challenges in your experience. And I'd love for you to share with our audience on how that is. And can you tell us a bit about it? What led you to where you are today?
Absolutely. So I'm trying to condense 35 years into just a couple short minutes here. So there's a couple things I want to preface this with. Number one, thank you for having me. I want to start with gratitude. I really appreciate it. I started listening to podcasts 9 years ago, and they really helped me reorient my life in a more positive direction after that car accident that you mentioned, which I'm going to get into. Number two is I have become one of those speakers who kind of sounds like they had it all figured out, but I definitely didn't. It's only in hindsight that a lot of this is clear.
Yeah.
I've sort of rewatched the movie of my own life over and over and over and over again, particularly in my 30s when I started doing therapy. And so I kind of get it now. And again, I'll continue to get it and get it and get it. And it's kind of like when you see a movie as a kid and then you watch it as an adult and you go, oh, got it. Didn't get that joke before or whatever it is. And so that's the last piece. So I am going to be 36 in November, although I look 15. I always like to preface that. That helps my business coaching career tremendously. People love being coached by someone who looks 12. I'm being playful. But when I was 2 years old, so my story definitely started in adversity. And when I was 2 years old, my father passed away in a car accident when he was 28 years old. I had a sister who was 6, a mother who was 31. I'm a numbers thinker, so I think in numbers, so there's going to be a lot of that. But ultimately, when he passed away, that definitely caused a lot of pain in my family, my mom and my sister in particular. She was 6, and her dad was her favorite person. So my real last name is actually McCorkle. So my stepfather came into the picture, Steve Lazarus. He came into the picture from 3 to 14. My birth father, John McCorkle, was a part of a big Irish Catholic family. It was Jim, Joe, John, Jane, Joan, Jeanette. So he had 5 siblings, all J. And when we were becoming the Lazaruses, so to speak, we didn't really associate much with the McCorkles anymore. And so my stepfather leaves my family at 14. And I did not realize this till my 30s, but 14 was the hardest year of my life. Excuse me. The reason why is because we didn't really associate much with the McCorkles anymore, because now we're the Lazaruses. When my stepdad left, he took his entire extended family with him. I haven't seen or talked to a single one of them since 14. I have talked to him a little bit on Facebook Messenger. That same year, my sister moved out, my older sister with her older boyfriend. That same year, my mom gets in a fight with my Aunt Sandy, her sister, and we get ostracized from that side of the family. So I kind of lost 3 families by the time I'm 14. Yeah. And I didn't realize this until my 30s. And we've since reconnected with the McCorkles. That's all good. There's 2 individuals from my mom's side, only 2, by the way, who I have ever seen from my mom's side since. But when you're 14 years old, and when my stepdad left, the other piece I haven't mentioned, he worked for a company called Agfa during the dot-com bubble, late 90s, early 2000s. And we did very well. Boats and ski trips, and we had snowmobiles and motorcycles. My mom drove a BMW. We literally owned a yacht. And in the 90s, in the U.S. in particular, but globally, just wild economic boom times.
Right, yeah.
And so he took 90% of the income with him. So I went from Xbox, Dreamcast, early Christmas presents to now I get free lunch at school because our income's so low. My mom trades in her BMW for a little Honda Civic. I go from I hope I get into my dream college, WPI, it was $50,000 a year, Worcester Polytechnic Institute, it's kind of like a mini MIT, to even if I do get in, I don't know how I'm going to go. And then on top of that, my mom and stepdad did not get along, and that is the most polite way I can put it on a public medium. I mean, right. Like you can see it in my eyes. Okay, not good. Now, that said, 14, all the scaffolding out from under me. Now even if I do get into my dream college, I don't know if I can go. It's $50,000 a year. What am I going to do? I look into my future, and this was not conscious, but it's obvious in hindsight. I look into my future and I go, okay, no dad.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates, and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
Every day when you log into ChumbaCasino.com, the ultimate online social casino, you get a free daily bonus. Imagine if you got daily bonuses in other parts of your life.
I chose French fries over loaded French fries.
I asked Stuart from accounting about his weekend, even though I don't care.
I updated my operating system without having to call tech support.
Collect your free daily bonus at ChumbaCasino.com now. And live the Chumba life.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
No trust fund. No one's going to save us. If it's going to be, it's up to me. So 2 trauma responses. So there's 4 total: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. I chose 2 different ones. Mm-hmm. The one that I chose was fawn. I became this social coward who, I want to be very transparent about this. I'm someone who's very, very intellectually gifted, and you're not supposed to say that. socially. But it's important to understand that because I kind of became this pretend I'm regular guy. When in reality, I'm definitely not. And that will become very clear in this interview. But when I was behind the scenes, it was fight. So I was fawn, which is appease, don't poke the bear, appease, social coward. I became very much a social coward, even though I don't think other people would see me that way. I definitely was. But behind the scenes, my trauma response, aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. Aim higher, work harder, get smarter. I'm telling you, the drive inside of me is so much. It's so much. Now, but that's not socially acceptable, so I hide it most of the time. Okay, so I got straight A's through all of high school. Got the President's Award. It's behind me, signed by George W. Bush. Got all the scholarships and financial aid and awards, and I got into my dream college, and I was able to go because of scholarships and financial aid and the awards. And then I got my computer engineering degree, I got my master's in business, and I was off to the races. I had two main dreams when I was a kid. I never used to share this because I was a social coward, but I had a lot of dreams, dozens of dreams, but two main ones. It was going to be lawyer, politician, president, which I know sounds wild, but seriously, in my kid brain, that was my lawyer, politician, president. Or it was going to be engineer, MBA, CEO, like my hero at the time, Steve Jobs. We used to argue, Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, who's smarter? And now neither one of them are my heroes, quite frankly. But as a kid, you think. Okay, so I obviously went the engineer MBA road. Went from a broke high school kid, broken high school, broken college, to I'm in the 21st century. I have a computer engineering degree with a master's in business from one of the best engineering colleges on the planet. And it's the 21st century where computers are running things. So I just become so sought after, which is weird for me. I went from 65 to 85, 85 to 105, 105 to 125, 125 to nearly 180, it was 180, nearly $200,000 a year. And I'm in my early 20s. So I paid off 84 grand worth of debt in a single year in my early 20s. I have $150,000 in my early 20s in a Vanguard account, just investing in tech companies and ETFs that I knew would win. And I say no in quotes because no one really knows, but I'm based on probabilities. And I understand tech, so I know kind of what companies I think will win. And I work now for a company called Cognex. And then I get in my own car accident. So when I was 26 years old, I was up in New Hampshire with my second cousin, one of the only cousins I've ever seen from my mom's side since sort of being ostracized from that side of the family. And we're driving to TGI Fridays, not drinking or anything like that. I look down at the GPS, I look up, and I saw the brightest lights I'd ever seen. This is back in 2015 when the snowbanks were covering the yield signs. I was supposed to yield, I didn't. I ended up on the wrong side of the road, and I looked up and I thought for sure that was it. And I calculated, no way we live. Two things saved my life. I was driving a 2004 Volkswagen Passat. Thank you, Volkswagen. Holy crap. I used to call this car the Tank. Bought it for $5,000 cash because I just wanted to invest all my money because I thought getting wealthy would fill a hole. And when my stepdad left, I figured wealth was the answer. But that car totally saved my life. The whole front end was completely and utterly destroyed, but the frame stayed. The airbags deployed. Awesome. Second thing that saved my life is it wasn't a Mack truck. It was a lift-kitted pickup truck. There's a lot of those in New Hampshire. And this was no fender bender. So my little cousin, both airbags deploy. He hurt his knee on the airbag. I hurt my face on the airbag. Physically, we're okay. But my dad died when he was 28 in a car accident with him driving. I'm 26, and this was my quarter-life existential crisis. This is the second chance my dad never got, and that just messed me up. And after that, it was tremendous post-traumatic growth, tremendous, but also a ton of PTSD. Double yellow lines scared me. I had claustrophobia, ceiling fans, but I had some challenges. But post-traumatic growth, so this is obvious in hindsight, everything is. Before 26, I was achievement-oriented, and I was improvement-oriented, and I was professionally developed. And I was very successful externally. But I wasn't fulfilled. Yeah, but of course. But I wasn't fulfilled internally. After 26, I flipped the script. I went from improvement-oriented externally to fully self-improvement-oriented. Healthy, wealthy, in love, productive, not wealthy yet. Let me rephrase that. But I went all in on self-improvement, started my own company, super aligned, super fulfilled, love my life, super fulfilled internally, but externally I went broke. I was unsuccessful. So I went from successful and unfulfilled to fulfilled and, successful and unfulfilled to super fulfilled but unsuccessful, which it turns out also sucks, just not as much.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because you can't sustain it unless you are externally successful too. And so I think the world is split into these sort of two buckets. I see these unbelievably personally developed, emotionally intelligent, wonderful, heart-driven people who are not that successful in the economy. Not always, but sometimes. And then you've got these ding-dongs who are super successful in the economy, but they are like emotional children.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pick on men, but mostly men. And honestly, professional development and personal development, you need both.
Yeah.
You really need both. And so if you want a coach, you need a therapist. If you want a therapist, you need a coach. And I think the difference between a therapist and a coach is coaches are about future and success and achievement. Therapists are about your understanding yourself and understanding your past and your trauma and healing. And you need both. And so ultimately that's what I do now for a living is I help people get to that fourth bucket, which is the first bucket is unsuccessful, unfulfilled. The second bucket is successful and unfulfilled. The third bucket is super fulfilled and unsuccessful. And then finally in my 30s, I got to the fourth bucket, which is both successful and fulfilled, which means if you can honestly sit down and say, look yourself in the mirror and say, I want my future to be an amplified version of what it already is, then you have gotten to the place everyone wants to get to. And it's a metaphorical mountain. Yeah.
Say that saying one more time. Say it one more time.
All right. So if you can authentically look yourself in the mirror and say, I want my future to be an amplified version of what it already is, you have gotten to the place where you are living, you have achieved your dreams. Now, it's a metaphorical mountain that gets higher as you climb it, because it doesn't mean I don't have any problems by any means. I have more challenges in some ways than I ever have. However, I can authentically say I've gotten to that place. I want my future to be an amplified version of what it already is. But in the past, I definitely could not say that.
Yeah. You know, I love that. That's why I had you repeat that over again because I felt it and I love that because right now, and I shared this before, my mom was just diagnosed with dementia last year, right after Christmas, day after Christmas, at 73 years old. And so knowing that she's always been a breadwinner of the family, her thing is now she thinks about things in the past or she forgets things. It has been, instead of me looking at it as something like a curse or anything like that, I look at it as a gift because what she's showing me is that I need to live in a moment and appreciate the moment right now. I've always been I raise my hand as I am a retiring perfectionist, but also I am a sprinter. I grew up playing basketball and sprinting out of college,
Nice.
like that. That's how I got there, so I've always was
Nice.
competing to run, to race, be faster. And I've now have learned how to not be a sprinter, but allow myself to be a long distance runner, a marathon. And so times I have to check myself and understand that, no, it ain't about wanting more. It's about appreciating what you want now, but asking for the elevation in what you have right now. You spoke about you having everything in before your car accident, having the money, having the thing. And honestly, that is what I have been going through the past few years is that same thing. Right now, I can jokingly say right now, I am so happy, but I am not financially like I was.
Yep. Been there.
Right. So I felt that and I understood that. And I'm going to say this, thank you, because that's just confirmation again. That is truly just confirmation for me. Once again, like you're on the right path and you're doing it. Now you see this young man right here. He had it all in the beginning and you got to those crossroads or but what I love about that story is that, and it might sound really weird to you listeners out there, but his father passed away in his 20s from a car accident, just like he did. I am a very spiritual person. And I know that your second chance was your father's second chance, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. You
I had the opportunity to break the cycle.
Yeah.
And the part that I never was able to face until my 30s, and I'm there's certain things you're scared to share on public mediums, but my father I do believe was reckless. And I do know that he was reckless and made irrational choices. And it's very important for me as a man to face the hard truths. I never even talked about my dad until before 26. I never even spoke about my father.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, I didn't face it. I didn't face all the stuff. I think the reason why The Lion King is such a powerful movie is because of the metaphor. And particularly it was always one of my favorite movies. I didn't understand why until later. And then I go, oh, okay, father passes away.
Yeah.
Simba runs away and tries to escape his past, which I did. Drugs, alcohol, nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to come back and come back to Pride Rock and realize that it's not what you thought.
Yeah.
And you had the uncle, so for me, stepdad, right? And you have to come back and Simba in the end of the film is still acting like a cub, even though he's a grown male, a grown man. And that's how I was, social coward. I was still acting like a cub, even though I'm a 6'2". I mean, you think I haven't hit puberty yet. I mean, imagine me at 14, right? You think I look 14 now. What did I look like at 14, right? So now I need to have the courage to own who I am.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do that when you're so different. And I mean statistically different. I am a esoteric weirdo. I mean, I study Einstein for fun. Like I'm not normal in almost any regard. And it's very hard to find belonging. Luckily, my girlfriend, Emilia, is a brilliant, genius, esoteric weirdo too. Thank goodness, because, greatest gift of my life. But I remember growing up, I mean, I was so different than my friends. That's why I drank so much, is it just made me dumber. It turned off the future orientation. I've always had that. I'm not kidding. I actually decided when I'll never forget this. I decided after a mock court case, I decided lawyer, politician, president wasn't for me. I decided I'm not going to be president. And I know that sounds weird to someone who doesn't have the self-belief that I have. And I'm not saying I guarantee I could have been. I'm just saying I was going to go for that. And I do think there's a statistical probability that I would have been. And as a matter of fact, I think on some level, and this will sound even more arrogant, I actually think I still could. I don't think I can be a strongman competition. I certainly can't win swimming in the Olympics. Right, I'm not going to beat LeBron James at basketball, but the truth of the matter is I can look into the future and I can project and my brain can calculate what is and is not possible. And I don't know if that's a gift that only I have. It seems like it is, because when I coach people, they are sitting there like, well, what do I do? It's you can't say I want to be a billionaire and then go to the beach. You have to reverse engineer these things. Yeah. Like human beings have this gift to be able to go into the future and to reverse engineer the finish line. And so when you're this weird, esoteric, semi-arrogant person who is perceived as arrogant but actually has humility and the work ethic behind the scenes, it's just, yeah. So for anyone out there who feels very different, I think that it's awesome because you're gifted and you're unique. Yeah. However, it's very hard socially. So when I'm behind the scenes by myself, I feel really good. I feel really competent. I love my life. I'm very deeply fulfilled. But when I'm in social settings, it's very much, okay, how much of my light do I have to dim to be okay here?
Honestly, when you speak about that, that's you're my twin brother. Because even with I have 3 girls. And they're all 10 years apart. Each one of my girls, I have a 32-year-old, I have a 22-year-old, and I have a 12-year-old. 3 girls.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's got to be a fascinating study, huh?
Yeah, you think?
Yeah.
You think? But each one of them are amazing, talented, brilliant women. I called them my little queens. And nice. I found myself that they always were trying to fit in, kind of like dimming their light, dimming their shine to fit in. And I remember telling them, no, it's okay to be who you are.
Even though you did the same shit. Yeah. I'm kidding. I'm joking. Yeah, I know, literally. So obvious now, right?
Yeah. And so when I see it, and the funny thing is when you talk, I didn't realize that I was truly dimming my light till I start on this self-love journey, honestly. I did not really realize that until I started to truly look at myself in the mirror. And when I say butt ass naked, I don't mean that I'm with no clothes on. When you really look at yourself authentically and you can be honest and take accountability for every choice that you made, for everything in your life, and you learn from that. You talked about a movie.
Do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's ZOLA.com.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Replaying in your head. That's what happens to me. A movie that's constantly keep playing in my head. And now I understand why things happen. I understand why things happen in my life. I don't use them as, oh my God, I got through that. No, I look at those as gifts. I look at that there was tools in that moment, in that time. So when I'm looking at that movie, so I don't know if you do this, when I look at that movie and I go back and I say, oh, that's what that's for. Now I'm able to use it now and in the future when something else is going to come, because it's going to come back around. Now is how am I going to react to it now? How am I going to utilize that situation now that I'm into it? So I'm glad that you share that with me and my listeners on here. Because everything is like this. So even when we talk about elevating, even when you talk about closing your eyes and envisioning your life right now, but just making it more fuller and where you at now, it's still about elevation. It's still still about elevation.
My whole brand is next level. It's next level you, next level university, next level you, pun intended.
Yeah.
So I'm 35. I'm Alan version 3.5. And I'm a computer engineer, so forgive me for this. But in November, I'm going to be Alan version 3.6. And Alan version 3.6 is going to take all the software and all the operating system and all the beliefs and the mindsets and the understandings of the last 35 years and reinvest it into the 36th year. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is that I don't know if this lands. I hope that it does. But the deep, dark holes that we find ourselves in, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, the tools, the understandings, the skills necessary to climb out of those deep, dark holes also build skyscrapers. Mm-hmm. And so you can look back and realize, here's the problem though. I used to think adversity is your advantage because I had so much adversity. And there's two types of adversity. There's the adversity life throws at you. And then there's the adversity that comes as a byproduct of aiming really high. And I chose both without knowing it. I didn't choose both, but I had both. And some of us, we all go through adversity, but it varies in frequency, intensity, density, and duration. It varies. Statistically speaking, there's something called an ACE score, adverse childhood experiences, and mine's on the extremely, extremely, extremely high statistical end. And that gives me an advantage now because I have so much more grit than most people. Seriously, it's just very clear to me. Instead of, I think everyone else is unintelligent and lazy. What if I'm just really intelligent and really hardworking? That's self-love right there. That's, oh, wait a minute. It's not that they're lazy. It's that I'm really disciplined. Whoa, what a reframe. Because in my head, it was, why is everyone so lazy? Okay, so why am I saying all that? Adversity is not an advantage unless you have a couple things. All progress starts with telling the truth. And we all lie to ourselves and we lie to each other. And true maturity comes from telling the truth. Candor is one of my top core values. It wasn't always. So adversity is not your advantage if you have a fixed mindset, if you don't believe in yourself, and if you don't have humility. That car accident humbled me fully.
I was going to say that.
So we all have the 3 layers of the ego. We have who we want others to believe we are. We have who we want to believe we are. And then we have who we really are.
Yes.
My goal in life is to make those 3 circles the same and to keep them the same.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're like a self-driving car that has blind spots and keeps driving off a cliff and then blaming the world. When in reality, you just think inaccurately about yourself, others, and the world. But anyways, so to bring this back to the adversity thing, I used to say adversity is your advantage because it allows you to go do the extraordinary things ordinary people can't do. It's not true. So adversity is your advantage if you have a ton of self-belief, like I did, if you have a growth mindset, like I did without knowing it, and if you have humility to look inward and contemplate. If you don't believe in yourself and have a fixed mindset, adversity is actually just adversity. Why would someone choose virtue over vice if they don't believe in themselves?
Right.
All of us know a loved one who's a drug addict.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are they escaping? Because they don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
And I can have compassion for that on one end and hold someone accountable and say, your life is your freaking responsibility. I didn't want my dad to die at 2. I didn't want my stepdad to leave, and everything in between was pretty tough. Very little was good, to be completely transparent. But I found it's not my fault that all that happened, but it's my responsibility to make a great life out of that. It was my responsibility to quit drinking and to quit doing drugs and to quit the vices and to quit with the friends that were tearing me down. You and your life and your future is your responsibility. And I made a decision in my 30s because I have a 20-person team and a lot have come and gone. And being a leader is the hardest thing in the entire freaking world. And if you think otherwise, you're obviously not leading that many people. But ultimately, being a leader is the hardest thing in the entire world, not only because you have to lead by example, but because a lot of people don't take personal accountability. So I decided in my 30s, I will never again work with a human who lacks the humility necessary to take personal responsibility for their own life. I was sick and tired of getting blamed. Like, if you're always blaming everyone else for your problems, guess what? There might be some truth to it, but you are now stuck because you are not empowered.
Right.
When you take responsibility for your own choices and for what you do about what's done to you, you take your power back and then you can build a bigger, better, brighter future. But all progress starts with personal accountability, personal responsibility, self-improvement. And I didn't learn that until I feel like I always kind of unconsciously did it. Obviously more externally before my car accident, more internally after. But I realize now the types of people I'm never going to work with again. And I sized you up the moment I got on here, by the way. You are someone who takes personal responsibility. I'm telling you, I can tell. It took me 35 years. I've got a filter. It's called NmW&x. Unstable, naive, manipulative, entitled, delusional, significance-driven, arrogant, and immature. If you have a high NmW&x score, I'm out immediately, by the way. So I sized you up immediately. It was in the energy. I sensed gratitude and humility. And I decided in my 30s, I'm never again working with anyone who doesn't have gratitude, humility, and a low NmW&x score.
Yeah.
And that changed my whole freaking life. And so personal accountability, personal responsibility. Listen, it is not the government's fault. It's not your parents' fault. Like, there's an expiration date on blaming the world for your problems.
Exactly. Yeah.
And please just take your control back and what you say, think, do, feel, and believe, and your choices are your responsibility. And if you actually own that instead of just hearing me say it, your future can be so much better than what it has been, what your past has been.
Yeah, I love that you said it, and I thank you for that, especially going into the new year, especially when we go into the new year. I have the year of 2025 is the year of the rebirth. Nice. So the show will be totally throughout the whole year will be about rebirthing. Every month will be a new topic with that.
Cool.
And I love where you just spoke right now about being accountable for you. And honestly, this is what self-love is. It really is, because you have to love who you are, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we're not perfect. You understand? And even when we, as you said, and I love when you say about the humility part, but of using our adversity. You are so dead on that, because can I say this? I think it's a gift. And people might say that, no, I think it was a gift for what we have went through in life, because going through in life, it should show us the humility. You understand? It should show us our truth. It should show us our resilience and our strength through it all. I just had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she's going through something really hard right now. And but she has so many good things that's happening, and she's worried about this thing right here that she feel like it's going to block her, that she doesn't. I said, but you know what? Through all these years, you've had the strength and the resilience. So that person who you think that's breaking you down, no. And it's going to sound crazy to you listeners, and maybe to you, you tell that person, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to see my strength.
Yeah.
Thank you for me getting through this. Thank you, because, man,
it's the only way to be empowered through it. Yeah.
Yes. And so in going into the new year and thinking about this series right now, Elevate, I love the circle. I love the dome, going within. I love those three things. I'm gonna have to take that away from you.
Oh, feel free, please. If it's gonna help people, please do it. Seriously. Yeah, I got that from my girlfriend. My girlfriend taught me that. Yeah, I probably should have said that, Emilia.
Yeah, well, thank you, girlfriend, because that is beautiful.
It's changed my freaking life, because where am I inaccurate with self? I think most of us don't achieve our dreams because we have low self-awareness. If I walk through life thinking I'm going to beat LeBron James at basketball, I'm setting myself up for failure right out of the gate, right? And that's okay. You got to understand yourself and your gifting and where your blind spots are. And every strength comes with a weakness. I have a lot of self-belief, but humility didn't come as naturally. Yeah. People who don't believe in themselves, maybe they're naturally more humble, but then all of a sudden they start gaining confidence, and there goes the humility. So we all have to work on ourselves all the time, and we have to take a 360-degree assessment all the time. And the next level version of your life is going to be a lagging behind the next level version of you. Yeah. And the next level version of you is on the other side of the challenges you're facing right now. Right. Mm-hmm. Right? So you want to climb mountains. I think that the world has I remember when I was growing up, my mom would always say, my grandma, she never really worked. She had butlers and maids and stuff. And
do you know the number one thing that surprises engaged couples? Take a guess. The sheer amount of decisions they have to make while planning a wedding. Indoors or outdoors? How many guests? Are kids invited? Controversial. Which cake flavor? Seriously, how do you even begin to figure out what's right for you? That's where Zola comes in. Zola has everything you need to make every wedding decision a piece of cake, from choosing your dream wedding venue and vendors to deciding how to best spend your budget. With tons of customizable wedding websites, save the dates and invites, every detail will feel like you. Zola will even help you choose the gifts, experiences, and cash funds you really want. The next thing you know, you've planned your whole wedding all in one place. From getting engaged to getting married, Zola has everything you need to plan your wedding in one place. Start planning at Zola.com. That's Zola.com.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
My mom would say, Grandma's so lucky. Grandma's so lucky. I'm so jealous. I wish my life was that easy. And I remember thinking, that's really unintelligent. Why would you want your life to be easy? Really think about this. And I'm a formulaic thinker, so I know I'm weird. But if life is easy, you're not going to build any muscle. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. If life is always easy, you're going to get complacent. You're going to be entitled. You're going to be spoiled, not even know it. You're going to lose perspective. You're not going to be fulfilled because you're not going to reach your potential. Your potential is on the other side of overcoming challenges.
Yeah.
And overcoming challenges are a byproduct of having high self-belief and high goals.
Yeah.
And to me, the higher your self-belief is, the higher your vision is. The higher your vision is, the higher your goals are. The higher your goals are, the higher the challenges you have to overcome. The higher the challenges you overcome, the bigger you become, the more incredible you become, the more intelligent you become. Most of my adversity, because I had self-belief and because I had a growth mindset, even when I didn't know it, I grew through it. Because I have a lot of people who went through what I went through, and they did not grow from it. They escaped into drugs or alcohol or complacency or settling for mediocrity, which is a gradual settling to a place of average. And some of us, I mean, this is uncomfortable to talk about on a public medium, but you're a female, and females have overcome tremendous adversity, and they still are. And you're also an African-American female.
Yeah.
And so you've had to face things a lot of people can't even fathom. And you're still out here doing it. And you know what's interesting? What happens when the victim never plays the victim? You create a really powerful person. Yeah. But no one knows this because I look like a silver spooner. It's like 6'2" white cock. I do, don't I? It's so brutal. People are like, you shouldn't do your hair that way. Yeah, that's why I had to start with my story. You know, and then all the awards, as if that helps, right? But the truth is, 6'2", Caucasian American male, biggest economy in the planet, Massachusetts, well-educated. I look like a silver spooner. Yeah. What happens when the underdog is never seen as an underdog? It couldn't have been farther from the truth. If I told you my story, statistically speaking, I should not be here. Holy crap. Yeah. But that's no one else needs to know that. I have that in here. I was not gifted. Like, I had a couple gifts. I'll give you this. I had a couple advantages. Number one, I was born in a free country that invests in powerful minds. I got a lot of financial aid. Thank you. Thank you so much, Massachusetts, and thank you so much, U.S., for investing in my mind. I would not have been able to go to college without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Number two, I believe in myself to a ridiculous extent. Always have. And then number three, and this is the one that's really, I need to make clear because I make things sound too easy. For those of you out there who feel gifted, this will resonate. For those of you who don't, you might hate me a little bit right now. When you are gifted, you know it, but you don't want to admit it. It's this weird thing where you don't understand why, and particularly the genius word gets thrown around a lot. And I read a book finally called The Hidden Habits of Genius. I know we got to jump in a second. And it's written by a Yale professor who studied geniuses throughout history. And he taught a course about the hidden habits of genius for 30 years. And he wrote a book. And he said in the beginning of the book, and this book changed my whole life because it changed my self-concept. He said, geniuses don't know they're geniuses. They are too busy doing genius shit. And he didn't say it that way, but that's my short version of it. But I had this moment where he breaks down the 14 character traits of geniuses. And some of them are awful humans, by the way. Whoa. Like Picasso, what a horrible human being. Oh my God. But anyways, when you study the geniuses of history, they have these common character traits. I had all of them, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. You know it's true when it makes you sad. You would think that would be cool. You'd think like that would be really cool to, I'm a genius, yay. No. You know it's true when it makes you sad. I'm not pumped for self. I'm sad for others. And the responsibility that comes with that, when you believe in yourself, and then here's the esoteric question. Do I believe in myself because I have the quantum potential? Or do I believe in myself because I learned to believe in myself? Was it nature or was it nurture or was it both? It's probably both. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you're out there listening or watching this, let's make this about you, not me. You are either afraid that all of you is too much. That's me. Holy crap. I'm dialing it down right now. Most people think I'm dialing it up. This is me dialing it way down.
I appreciate it.
Or you're afraid. Or you're afraid that all of you is not enough.
Yeah.
A majority of the population, unfortunately, is on that side, pretending that they believe in themselves, and they really don't. Whereas a lot of us, some of us, 4% of us, I read the stat in January 1st. We did a meetup on setting clear goals for 2024, and the stat said only 4% of people have written goals, and only 8% of them ever achieve them. So to me, that tells me only 4% of people actually believe in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, and I have a formula on how to build self-belief, and we can't get into it now, but here's my point. You are either afraid that all of you is too much or that all of you is not enough.
Yeah.
And if you are afraid that all of you is too much, you're like me and you're a social coward and you're basically dialing yourself down all the time to make other people more comfortable. Mm-hmm. And if you're afraid you're not enough, you most likely are envious a lot. You most likely unintentionally tear people down to try to get to succeed. And you probably desperately need self-belief, and you might have an inflated identity to compensate for the insecurities inside of you. And so we're all insecure. It's just about two different things. And you can go into the deep psychology of all this, internal family systems, all that. I don't have time for that. But ultimately, if you can self-identify as one of those, the people who are afraid to be too much, what you really need is self-worth. Yeah. The people who are afraid to be not enough, what you really need to build is self-belief. Beautiful. And you're definitely on the too much side, by the way. Yeah. Otherwise, you would hate me. For sure.
Yeah. But Alan, thank you. Oh my God. I'm having such a wonderful time here, and I know we gotta go. I know we truly gotta know. But I want to do this. I want to invite you back in the next few months again, please, because even continuing this conversation right here, because I know you have a lot of gems to share, with the audience right now. So what I want you to do right now is, where can they find you at right now? Let my listeners know before we close off, where can they find you at right now?
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I started with gratitude. I want to end with gratitude. Thank you for the opportunity to help. And if I got anyone thinking differently to reach their potential, that was my only goal. And to practice my craft. So I've got some work to do. But where can people find me? Next Level University is our podcast, spelled just like it sounds. It's a metaphorical online school to reach your potential. Beautiful. No matter where you are in life, there's always a next level you. So I'm coming up on 3.6 version of Alan, whatever you, there's a next level version of you, right? And the website is nextleveluniverse.com, spelled just like it sounds. So the podcast is Next Level University. The website is Next Level Universe, which is all things next level. And I'm on social media. You can Google my name. And please reach out. If you do, please just provide context, because like all of us, I get a lot of spam.
Beautiful. Thank you. This has truly been a great. I don't even want to let you go. No.
You funny.
It's been it truly has been, and my listeners right here, I can't say this enough. Since I joined Podmatch. It's when I joined Podmatch, when I truly found my tribe of people.
Nice.
Every guest that come on here, we are all team players, and I joke around a lot, and I talk about I love basketball. I talk about basketball.
I love basketball.
Yeah, I say I'm LeBron.
Nice. Yeah.
But I say this all the time because we are teammates, and I love what you all are doing over there. I really do. I love that everyone can come together and sit on everybody's platform and be able to share their experience, their stories, but also serving and allowing people to see themselves with them, because we all are mirror images of each other. It's just, what reflection do we want them to see?
Well, I used to say, I hope self-improvement spreads like COVID. Kevin said, don't say that. And I said, whoa, wait. COVID went 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512. It grew exponentially. I hope that same thing happens with self-improvement, because where I grew up, there was no self-improvement whatsoever. And I'm assuming that's probably the case with you. I'm sorry to assume. But ultimately, I'm just grateful that you're out there spreading self-improvement, because that's what the world needs, in my opinion.
Thank you. Again, Alan, thank you so much. To my listeners, I want to thank y'all so much for just continue to listen with us here on the Season of Self-Love. And I want you to remember that self-love and growth is an ongoing journey. And so every step that you take, it brings you closer to your full potential. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. And next time, we'll dive into another powerful topic. So be sure to join us again. So until next time, keep practicing self-love and take one step every day towards elevating your life. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer. Have a good one.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. Everybody needs some variety in life. That's what I love about Chumba Casino. They know how to keep things fresh and exciting. All their games are free to play, like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire. You can claim free daily login bonuses, too. And they release new games every week. So spice things up with ChumbaCasino.com now for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.